What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. And today we are reviewing It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. Now, I know today is Christmas Eve, and you guys may be busy, hanging out with your families and stuff. So I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas Eve. Anyways. However, It's a Wonderful Life now is considered a cult classic. Why do you say so? Because at that time, $3 million at that time was like a lot of money back then. Okay? Because $3 million was like a huge budget at the time. And it was, because I know originally it wasn't really received as well when it first came out, because it came out at the absolute worst timing possible. It came out in January. Because in January, at that point, people are like kind of sick of Christmas movies at that point in time. And people just want to focus on the new year. And that is why the movie basically underperformed. Simply because of bad timing. Like, if it was released in, like, December of 1946, it probably would have made a lot more money. But due to it releasing in January, which is the worst timing possible, it basically never got a lot of attention until, like, it didn't really get the recognition it deserved till, like, a few decades later, okay? Now, what do I think of the characters? I think they're pretty solid characters. Like, I like the main character. And man, do I feel so bad for this dude. Because at literally the very beginning of the movie, there was this old guy, right? That was, George was like a kid, and he literally gets slapped in the face like this. For what exactly? Like, what did he do? Like, this is why I feel so bad, because I know he's trying to be nice, and getting everybody else, to fulfill their dreams for everybody else's. In reality, well, let's say, George here, George decided, like, George literally, basically, has been dealing with this throughout his entire life. Just overall, just getting other people's dreams to sacrifice his. And basically never having the potential he would have gotten. And honestly, it's pretty nice on the surface, but after a while, dude, it's starting to get, it would get tiring after a while. And then he did something that he didn't want to do, which is like continue on his, like, well, continue on with his father's business as a banker, which is something he didn't want to do, but he had to. He basically had no choice. And when you come to think about it, is It's a Wonderful Life secretly a horror movie? Here's why. Because just the idea of a man essentially forcing to please the townspeople against his will is like, okay. Like, when you come to think about it, he is essentially living in a giant prison. Just a giant jail cell, and his inmates are his family, and the townspeople are all the Warrens. The wardens. It makes sense. And at the end of the movie, the look on his face told me that he can't get out now. He simply is stuck here. So it's kind of a depressing ending when you go to think about it. Because, man, it's just the idea of a man against his will, essentially forcing to bow down to a townspeople against his will, is essentially not good. It's essentially just horrible. And on top of that, the poor dude also had to deal with corruption. And that dude basically gets away. And the villain essentially somewhat gets away with it. But man, luckily he does succeed at the end somewhat in being the villain. Because when you come to think about it, George's family are truly, like, essentially prisoners in this, like, giant jail cell that is the town. You're essentially moving into, like, a big jail cell. A giant one. That's, like, the size of a town. Okay? Because, in my opinion, because, honestly, if I were to see a horror movie version of It's a Wonderful Life, I wouldn't mind. It's just, and plus the concept of what if this man was never born or something like that. Him saying that this angel essentially shows him a timeline of what if he never existed. And him not our main character simply never existing will come with serious consequences. One, he never saved his brother from being drowned. He never met his wife. The town will be completely in utter chaos. In other words, a living hell. I'm serious. And it's like, these are just the makings of a horror movie, okay? That same argument goes with the Santa Claus, Jurassic Park, because obviously, with, Jurassic Park, for example, since that movie's been debated whether or not it's a horror movie or not, and I think Jurassic Park is in the same category as Jaws, where they're both star like creature feature movies. Anyways, back to It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's a great Christmas movie, but the release date, it came out at such worse timing, which is why it flopped. But luckily, it got recognition, so yeah. Overall, I thought this movie was pretty good. Like, I like the premise. I like the ending. Yes, on the surface, it's a pretty happy ending, but in reality, it's not. It's simply not when you come to think about it. And I started to notice that, honestly. And overall, I thought this movie was pretty good. And a really great Christmas movie. And this movie is essentially a Christmas Carol. Except worse. And that's it. Overall, I thought It's a Wonderful Life was a pretty good movie. And that's it. It's a Wonderful Life came out in 1946 and came out in January, which obviously due to the horrible timing, it's sadly underperformed or flopped. Luckily, it would later on get, a huge cult following that even to this day still has. And all I can tell you guys is I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas Eve. Okay, I want to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas Eve. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and ho, ho, ho!